I don't want to be looking like a clown in a box.
No, I got you.
This is how I had $100,000 to trade with before losing all of it.
A carpenter in BC turned $88,000 into $400 million in a year and a half and then lost everything.
I've got a couple clips today. We'll start off with a few creative ways to lose money with cars, as usual, and then we'll move over to trading and look at some impressive losses. By the end of the video, you're probably going to feel a lot better about your situation.
How did the credit app go so far? Finished? Okay, awesome. I'll make a copy of this. I'm gonna have you sign on paper. Could you send the 3 most recent pay stubs to this email right here, and then we'll get started up for you. There you go. That's just confirming the information on the credit app.
Does this mess with your credit when you be scanning this?
So what will happen is it'll be like a light credit pull, so you may lose 3-4 points. That's the one thing I know is a pain. There's really no way to do it without doing a credit pull. But over here we got some very good banks, so we'll be able to work something for you. So we're looking at the Range Rover today. How much are you trying to be at per month?
No more than 150, 130, something like that. Because I know my insurance is going to be a little, it shouldn't be that much, but it should be.
And how much were we looking to put down today?
Nothing if possible.
What can we go up to?
Nothing.
We're not starting off very strong here. Very small budget, already worried about insurance. That tells you money is probably tight, or at least it feels that way. And then, of course, it's a Range Rover. I'm sure you can probably get into one for that budget. I see them listed cheap all the time. But they're unreliable, expensive to repair, and cost a lot to insure. Not exactly the vehicle you want if you're on a tight budget.
I just spoke with them about the 200. So the only thing with that, it might be somewhere a little higher than 200. The only reason is because it's an older car, so sometimes banks do put a cap on it. It won't be too far over though.
I want it to be where I know there won't be no situation with me paying it every month. Because I want to get insurance and all that.
I would hope you're getting insurance. That shouldn't even be a thought in your head.
With that, I'm being realistic. My actual bills, my actual life, and my car. And my mind already estimated to no more than 200. Oh no.
So let me ask you this. With the credit that we talked about, I know we want to go 0 down. Based on what we said, they may ask for some more. Is there anything that we'd be able to put down for right now?
I don't know. So what this supposed to mean?
At the moment, it looks like we may need a bit more down. Would you be able to do maybe 2,000?
No.
Okay. Would you maybe have anyone that could co-sign?
No, I do everything on my own.
Okay. All right. So what we may have to do is just look into what other cars will work. We have other cars that still fit in that price range we were talking about, so we're gonna check it out.
I don't want to be looking like a clown in a box.
No, I got you.
Clown in a box. I've never heard that, but I assume she's talking about her size. That is exactly how I feel getting in and out of my car. What's funny is I put on a few pounds this year, and the thought actually crossed my mind that I'd need a bigger vehicle. Not the harder and smarter option of working out and eating less. My brain went straight to let's spend tens of thousands of dollars on a bigger car or truck. Obviously, I'm not going to do that. So instead, I'm getting up earlier, going to the gym, going to switch my diet to mostly natural foods, which, by the way, is going to save me a lot of money.
So here's the main thing that we got. You actually have no credit. So when it's a situation like that, banks don't usually want to do a loan unless it's a good amount down, because with no credit, it basically just means they don't have any history to show like where you are with payments and stuff like that. So really, you're not in a bad position. You just might need to get like a credit card, something that builds your credit.
That's what I'm saying. I didn't want to be in debt.
I'm the exact same way, but that's why in this case, it's going to be hard to get a loan without the credit. So I would try to basically get a cosigner, because a cosigner is going to be the one thing that helps out in this case where we can actually be in a much better position.
I never wanted to be in debt. That's why I didn't do credit cards and all that.
No, trust me, I get it. I'm the same way. But when it comes to getting a loan when you don't have established credit, I've seen it a lot. It's probably a rule in there for them where they really don't have much to negotiate with. But at the moment, we would need either about 2K down or a cosigner.
People think about credit cards the wrong way. Credit cards don't get you into debt. You do. If you can't control your spending, then yeah, don't get one. But I use credit cards for every single purchase. And I wouldn't even consider not having them. They're safer than debit and you have far more protection. If she had used credit properly in the past, and then chose to finance, assuming she could afford it, she wouldn't be in this situation right now. She would also be getting a much better interest rate. Cash, of course, is always the best option.
Beside me is the Denali Ultimate, which is $60,000 more than the base model truck. For 60 grand, what do you actually get? Here's my 3 favorite things about the Denali Ultimate. First thing is performance. Going to the Denali Ultimate, you get the 6.2 versus the 2.7, which is gaining you 100 additional horsepower. Reason number 2 is going up to the Denali from the base model, you get a lot of great tech. Heads-up display, rear view camera mirror, along with 360 cameras. So if you like technology, you definitely want to get the Denali. Reason number 3 is the styling. You get the beautiful black chrome grille, you get the beautiful brown Denali Ultimate interior, and much, much more. So let me know in the comments, would you pay $60,000 more for the Denali Ultimate?
$60,000 more, and what do you get? You're getting a bigger engine that most people will never fully use, a bunch of cameras that don't change how the truck functions, and styling that exists purely to impress other people. That 60 grand doesn't make the truck last longer, it doesn't make it cheaper to maintain, and doesn't make it any easier to afford. All it does is increase your payment, your insurance, your depreciation, and your financial stress.
Do not put money in something you don't understand. Don't do it because I do it. Don't do it because somebody else says to do it, or you read an article once. That's a nightmare way to lose money.
I'm sure most people watching have done this, or at least thought about it. I know I have. When I first started learning about investing, I bought stocks without knowing much about the company, or even fully understanding how it all worked. And like you said, I lost money on a lot of them. Luckily, I didn't have too much to invest at the time, so it wasn't a big deal. If anything, it turned out to be a very valuable lesson.
I lost $40,000 twice in a single day. My name is Gates. I'm a day trader, and that is the biggest loss that I ever took in my career. I'm telling you right now, losing $40,000 in a single day hits different. That kind of pain teaches you lessons that a textbook never could. I'm talking, I was physically sick, like to my stomach, to my core, didn't want to get out of bed, did not want to eat, did not want to go to the gym, did not want to talk to anybody, but I had to go through that to learn what I learned from it. Risk management is not optional, it is survival. I was over leveraged in that trade, I was overconfident, and quite frankly, I was underprepared for the reality of that situation and how fast things could go south. I get it, money's relative. To some people, 40 grand is not a lot, but to other people, 40 grand is a ton of money.
The reality is the majority of day traders lose money. Most estimates put it somewhere between 90 and over 97% failing long term. Once you factor in fees, spreads, and trading costs, only about 1 to 3% ever become consistently profitable. It's not about intelligence. It's about high-risk activity driven by psychology, emotional decisions, and a lack of discipline more than anything else.
And I just think of all of the things that I could have done with 40 grand other than lose it in the market. I could have went to every single restaurant in my hometown and tipped all of the waitresses and waiters $1,000 each. I could have bought my little sister a new car. That loss taught me to always define the risk before I even enter a trade. I learned to size down, I learned to use hard stops, and I learned that emotion is the enemy. Because that 40K loss didn't come from one bad trade, it came from a series of trades. It was all revenge trading. I was trying to make that money back, and I let emotions take the wheel, and I paid the price. And to be quite honest with you, I learned that sometimes just walking away is the most profitable move I can make sometimes. That day truly sucked, but I learned that losses are tuition in this game, and I paid a heavy fee.
Day trading and gambling trigger the same behavior. You're chasing short-term wins, reacting emotionally to losses, and convincing yourself that the next trade will make it all back. The odds are stacked against you, and the house, in this case the market makers and the platforms, they always get paid first. Day trading is basically gambling with a spreadsheet. Same dopamine, same overconfidence, same losses. It just looks a lot smarter.
This is how I had $100,000 to trade with before losing all of it. I've seen this comment a lot saying, bro, like, how did you have $100,000 in the first place to lose? So I actually made it trading. I flipped $10,000 into $112,000 in a week through the good old fashioned full port strategy. Obviously, I was a beginner trader. I didn't know what I was doing. The account got up to 112K, and then over the next 2 days, I lost it all because I had no sense of risk management and thought I could just keep full porting forever. And that was not the case. It ended up making me extremely depressed. It ended up making me want to do terrible things. Overall, just not a good headspace to be in at all, especially since that would have been the most amount of money I've ever seen in my life and definitely could have changed my life if all I did was hit that withdraw button. But no, I was greedy. But I will say that was the best lesson that day trading has ever taught me.
Treating day trading like a full-time job is almost always a bad idea. There's no guaranteed income, no benefits, no stability, and no margin for mistakes. You can do everything right and still lose money because short-term markets are unpredictable and heavily influenced by things you can't control. Most people don't have a real edge, and without an edge, it's not a job, it's speculation. The pressure of needing to make money every day pushes people into overtrading, emotional decisions, and bigger risks. That's why so many people blow up their accounts trying to turn trading into an income.
A carpenter in BC turned $88,000 into $400 million in a year and a half and then lost everything. And now he's suing his financial advisors. This story is actually crazier than it sounds. So a 30-year-old invested $88,000, grew it with the use of options. Call options allow you to bet on the upside potential of a security, and if the security goes up, you get to buy it at a fixed price. This guy just so happened that he bet on the right security and turned $88,000 into $415 million in just a year and a half. But then it all went wrong and the stock plummeted and he lost everything, and now he's suing his financial advisors for it because he said they did not understand his objectives and should have instructed him to diversify out because he wanted to retire on this. I can't stress enough how important good financial planning is.
I heard about this one a while back. He was advised to form a corporation for investment purposes and use a margin account, which allowed him to borrow money to increase his trading power. So basically, he had millions and millions of dollars and went into debt to get more. The stock went down, he made a bunch of risky trades trying to recover his losses, and eventually had to sell everything to cover the margin account. I don't think it's his financial advisor's fault. This is all about greed. He had more money than anyone could ever need, and threw it all away because it wasn't enough. I'm going to end the video here and ask you to hit that like and subscribe button, drop a comment below. I'll see you in the next one.